1985, I had something horrific happen that no child should have happen. Involuntarily watched my mom get shot and killed. And throughout that, from that, lived a life of chaos and hardship. My father did the best he can raising two boys. When I was 13 years old, I got caught with a gun, trying to protect my little brother. And my dad, like I said, this was in Reno, Nevada, and my dad moved us up here. And when I hit Oregon, I touched down Oregon, I was about 13, and I started using methamphetamine for the first time. Life was dark and life was hard. My dad did the best he could, and that's when I really got to be around my grandmother and my grandfather a lot, because my dad didn't know how to raise us boys on his own. I started using drugs at a young age, and it progressed, man. It was a dark hole that I seemed to keep going down. My addiction stemmed me to prison. It's extended me out to knowing death a lot more. I've lost about 150 friends, and my addiction took me to a dark place that I never thought I could get out of. When I was in prison, this last time, it was in 2017, March 24th, 2017 is the day I got caught. My first clean day was March 25th, 2017, and I got arrested and sent to prison for identity thefts, crimes, drug crimes. And when I was in prison, I knew that I wanted to change the trajectory of my life, but I was unsure how. When I was in county jail, I sat with one of my buddies, his name's Anthony, he's now passed. And he was talking to me and he had his Bible in his hand, and it was something super attractive to me because he had this light in him that I've never seen before. And me and Anthony, we used to use on the streets, and I know how dark it could be. So when I seen him with his Bible in his hand, I knew that he had something figured out, because I've never seen love and joy in his face before until I seen him with this purple Bible in his hand. Sorry, you guys. I asked him, what are you doing with that Bible in your hand? He says, "This is the way, brother." I didn't understand what he said, but I was gonna listen, and I asked him if we could do some Bible studies together in jail. Because I wanted to get closer to God. And I wanted to get out of this life of drugs and evil. And I wanted to get out of this dark world that I was in, and I didn't know how. So we started reading the Bible. I asked him, I said, how do you accept Christ like that? How are you so happy? He says, "Brother, I've been forgiven." I said, "I don't understand that. Can you explain a little bit to me?" So he sat me down and he explained it to me and he prayed with me. And at that moment, I knew there was a change happening inside of me. So I kept into the Word, man. And I asked God to forgive me for all the things that had happened. And I asked God to forgive the guy that shot my mom. And like all of a sudden, I can't explain to you, but like this world started getting lighter. The days started getting brighter. And I'm in the darkest place in the world in county jail over there. Like, it doesn't get darker than that. Anthony got released and I went to prison. But God sealed me up with this dude who had no TV. He had money, he had everything, but he would rather read his Bible than watch TV. And I started reading the Bible with him. His name was Sean. And he told me something when we were in there. He said, I said, "Dude, I don't know if I can get away from this life." He says, "Well, I'll tell you what. You show me your friends and I'll show you your future." And I sat on that. So we're gonna fast forward it. I was doing Bible studies up there. I was working on myself, and I got out of prison, and I had no glasses on, and I had no contacts on. My cousin dropped me off at the parole department, and he gave me a cell phone with 10% battery left on him. And he says, "Hey, when you're done with your PO, give me a call and I'll come pick you up." I said, "All right, I can do that." All I know in this town is drugs and alcohol. So I'm walking down the street, and I make it literally to this cannon right here, and probably this spot where we're standing right now. And I'm anchored and I can't move. I'm in a state where, like, if I take one more step, the chances of me getting loaded are great. So I sat right here and I started crying and I started praying to God. And as I'm praying, I'm looking across the street and I see this gentleman who I can barely make him out, man. He's got this flat bill hat, he's got a tank top on, these shorts, and he's got some Jordan shoes on. And I can spot him and I see this gold chain, and immediately I think, dang it, I already see somebody that I know from my past and I'm screwed. And I'm crying really hard because I'm afraid. And this gentleman walks up to me and he says, "How are you doing?" And I look at him as clear as day and I said, "Whatever you're selling, dude, I'm not buying." He says, "Well, I don't think you understand." He goes, "What's your name?" I said, "My name's Brandon." He goes, "What are you doing?" And I tell him what I'm doing and he goes, "Well, that's crazy. My name's Pastor Chris." And it was like the first moment I knew that I was safe when I got out of prison. He extended his love out to me when he didn't know who I was and invited me into his space to pray and talk a little bit. And I didn't know how to take that at first. And he tells me this story about where he's walking out of his office with one of his guys and he goes to open up the door, but the door won't open for him, and he hears God clear as day say that there's somebody across the street, and it was me. So I walk over to his office and we start praying and I start bawling. Sorry. So Pastor Chris takes me and he walks alongside me and he picks me up from the work center because I was out at the work center, and he picked me up every day and he took me to lunch, and we had pure friendship with no strings attached. I started to attend Family Christian Ministry about 3 years ago, and that's where I met my wife, Veronica. That's when my life started to unfold beautifully. With the help of Family Christian Ministry and the support that they've given my wife and I, today I celebrate 64 months and 7 days clean. I have a new trajectory on life, and it was from the help from the church. I get to understand the word better. I get to be able to lean on Christ now instead of leaning on my own stuff. And that was all help from what the church has shown me how to do. I've watched Family Christian Ministry change lives around tenfold. I've watched people who have never been able to read the word, people who've never felt love be loved. I watched people come off the streets into that church literally so broken to the point where it's like, I don't know what to do. But the church does. And I've watched these lives be turned around, I've watched these lives be reclaimed, and I've watched so many lives to where from literally the streets, sleeping in their car with 5 kids, to now on their way to buying their own house within just a couple years. Family Christian Ministry is a life-changing church. Without that church, I truly don't know where I would be today.